special Christmas Eve / Toyotathon edition of the Old Souls Football Podcast. It's week 17 in
Merry
the NFL.
Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. And with that, we're going to try to make it really quick today because everybody, I know we have a lot of commitments later, so we'll kind of dive into today's games. But Neil first, or not today's game, this weekend's games, excuse me. Neil first. I will say is the league is facing kind of a dud over the next 2 weeks. I feel like a lot of the playoff races pretty much over. I think the only thing left to decide is the NFC South winner.
Yeah.
The NFC North winner.
And thus the 5 seed.
And maybe if Cincinnati beats Denver, maybe they have an outside shot at grabbing the 7 seed from Denver. But if Denver wins that game, then Cincinnati's basically out, and so is Indianapolis.
It's kind of like, even to go back to this is what we were talking about in October, about how even though we knew then that there was still a couple months of football left to play, we were saying it's not looking good in terms of where this is going to go. And honestly, nothing really changed. Like the gap just kept widening, really. There's not really been any teams that maybe you could say Cincinnati, but of course they've kind of picked on some dog crap teams recently. But there's not really, usually you get like 1 or 2 teams that make a late season run where they get hot, in the middle of November, where you're like, where did they come from? That hasn't been the case this year. It's been kind of pole position from the start.
I think the bottom of the league is so bad.
Oh,
and the top of the league is so good. That's where you end up with like an NFC North, where the third place team may actually win 13 games. So
yeah, unprecedented.
Unprecedented. Like it's usually unprecedented for the second place team to win 13 games, nonetheless.
Yeah,
the third place team in the division. So
that happens like in Madden, like when you and your buddy have the Steelers and the Ravens, and you're just beating up on everybody except each other.
Well, I think it's actually a byproduct of how bad the AFC South actually is. Because if you go back and look, I mean, really, even the Bears can basically be like, say, thank you, AFC South, for 3 wins.
Well, 2.
2, yeah. So 2 of their 4 wins.
50% of their,
yeah, 50% of the Bears wins this year.
I remember we don't bring them up.
That's right. The first rule of Old Souls is not to talk about the teams.
Not to talk about the oldest franchise.
Well, technically the Cardinals.
The Cardinals, yeah.
So we will talk about
former Chicago team.
But really, like Tennessee, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, I think Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay. Actually, I think even Houston's gotten beat by all 3 of those teams. I think, Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay swept the AFC South this year.
Yeah.
So 4 of their wins.
It would be interesting to see what their record, like what the AFC South's record is against the rest of the NFL.
My proposal is to actually take away the Texans' home playoff game and make them the 5 seed in the NFC, and to put the second place team in the NFC North, the home team.
Then we get an NFC North Super Bowl.
I think if we're like college football, we can just start making stuff up as we go.
Would the Texans beat Ohio State?
I love those conversations. It's like 2 years ago. Like, would Jacksonville beat Alabama? I'm like, Alabama didn't even beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like, slow down. Like, but anyway, let's dive into the games because I know it's a kind of a crazy day. So, Chiefs Steelers Christmas Day.
Netflix.
I'm gonna say this. We've been towing the line for a few years on the NFL and kind of like how greedy they've gotten. Not just with money. They've always been greedy with money. We know.
Yeah.
But just like, really, we have to do a Wednesday in the middle of the week, just because like I get it's television, but like this meaningful game, you're making these teams play in a weird time on a weird day, and then you're putting it on Netflix.
Yep.
Fan of the direction the NFL is going, where they're making moves more based off of TV than actually like making sure that the product on their field is
Oh yeah.
higher quality.
You have 5 teams that are playing or in a span of playing 3 games in 11 days.
Yeah. So, and the Christmas Day games this year on Netflix and who knows if that'll go well because the Jake Paul fight sure didn't for them.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
So, and getting the game on tomorrow, like I'll be at my parents' house and like my dad won't be, he'll be like, I don't have Netflix downstairs.
My father-in-law even said it to me this morning. He was like, oh, well, we can't get Netflix on this TV. And I was like, I'll bring my Fire Stick over.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
And then they'll be like, how does that Fire Stick work? And it's like, that's so cool. Like, can you show me how to use it? And then I'm telling you now, like for the next 5 years, you're going to get calls. Saying, hey, how does this work? Like, I can't download this
app.
Pretty
good with this.
I can't download this app. I have a Hulu subscription. Where's my Hulu? And then you're like,
can I get the news on there?
It's like, so it's like cable, right? And you're like, oh god. But let's dive into this game. The Chiefs coming off a really big win. I think like kind of an underrated win. I think like we've kind of underestimated the Texans all year, but what the Chiefs have done over and over this year, I think I would say the Chiefs they win in an ugly way, and they've done it all year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really they've done it the last 2 years. Really going back to the playoffs last year. I think this is just who they are. This is how they play. So I read a stat somewhere. They're like 27th or 28th in the league in explosive passing plays this year. And I don't even think it matters. Once you win 12 games, and you're 12-1 or 13-1, excuse me. They're 13-1. And then you got to factor in that going back to last year, they went 4-0 in the playoffs. They're 14-1.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. This team.
Not many teams have won 14 games in NFL history.
No, there's not. And this team's on the verge of winning 15.
Yep.
I mean, this team is
about might to even win 16. They might be the second team of all time to win 16 games.
This team is about to match the 85 Bears.
Yep.
The 98 Vikings. The 2011 Packers. 2015 Panthers. Have any other teams gone 15?
The 84 49ers.
84 49ers. And I want to say
the 07 Patriots, technically, since they won 16.
Yeah, they went 16-0. So,
but the funny thing is,
only one of those teams didn't win. Only one team out of that mix didn't make the Super Bowl. So,
yes. Well, the Vikings didn't. Obviously.
Oh yeah, the Vikings lost in the NFC title
but
game.
The last 5 teams, now assuming Kansas City will reach that threshold themselves. I can't say the last 5 because they haven't played the playoffs yet. So the last 4 teams who have reached this threshold have not won the Super Bowl. The 85 team that we do not speak of was the last one, ironically. And they did, and there was back-to-back years where you had the 84 49ers and then that team in 85 that did it. So it is something. I do wonder, will that come into play come January? Because, but I mean, at the same time, they are playing better. And, like I've been kind of getting back on the Chiefs wagon the last couple of weeks. And I think they actually got a perfect matchup because they have a team going in the opposite direction of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh defense is starting to crumble.
Yep.
I know they had a couple tough matchups against teams but now you get to play the greatest quarterback of all time.
The Steelers, I feel like their weakness is not, I feel like their weakness is against like tough football teams where teams that can like win up front and have good quarterback play. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson especially, but both of those teams know how to run the football. They're multidimensional. Even though the Eagles have controversial, like sometimes they aren't multidimensional, and then the next game they are. I think overall they have been. They show the ability to.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about this game is like the Chiefs, like I mentioned, 28th in passing, like passing explosive plays. Right, they are a shell of what they used to be when Tyreek Hill was there. Every time Travis Kelce gets the ball, it's 3 yards, 4 yards. Right.
Yeah.
The addition of Hollywood Brown may make a difference, but like it just hasn't been enough with just Xavier Worthy and his speed. I think they're going to have to lean on the run game, which I think makes this a low-scoring game, which I think actually favors Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh has to play a certain type of game script where if it's low-scoring and ugly, they're going to probably win the game, especially at home. If it's a game where an offense can get momentum and there might be some actual scoring involved, Russell Wilson can't get in a shootout, just like last week. I think the Steelers, I like them here, but at the same time, like I can't pick against the Chiefs. So with the least amount of confidence possible, give me the Chiefs in a 21-20 final score.
Yeah, I also like the Chiefs to win this one. I'm going to take them by a touchdown. I
That's
think
pretty confident. That covers the spread.
Yeah, that'll cover the spread. Like I said, I think that they're kind of getting exposed for a bit. Like obviously, we talked last week about how there is enough talent there to say that they're not, say, lucky Pittsburgh. But obviously their wins, as you mentioned, aren't the prettiest of the kind that you would hope for. But I think Kansas City, I just see them, like I've been saying the last couple of weeks, I just see them hitting the ground running right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really scary for the rest of the NFL. And I think they carry the momentum. I'm going to take them 27-20.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. And I certainly think that's possible. But it's just the way the Chiefs play. I think Pittsburgh will definitely hang with them, I think. But I agree with you. I still think the Chiefs find a way to win this game. The late game on Christmas Day is the Ravens-Texans.
Thank God there's no 7 o'clock game on Christmas.
See, what I actually wanted, I would have preferred a 4:30 and 7 o'clock.
Well, the 7 o'clock game last year, which was a big game, the Ravens and the 49ers didn't even make it into the top 100 broadcasts in America last year. I think people are tired at 7 o'clock on Christmas.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair point.
And
it's certainly not going. It's not because of the NBA. That's for sure.
It's certainly not. Who is? If we're talking about ratings and stuff like that, that's a group that's really struggling right now. But
the reason we're actually having to finish this podcast early is because you and I have to get ready to watch the Hawaii Bowl.
Yes, actually, yeah. They're going to project it at Mass today.
I get laughed at, but it's like I was like, one of my favorite traditions used to be to get home from church on Christmas Eve. You cut it on, and they're like, "We're live from Hawaii, like what is it called? Aloha Stadium."
Aloha Stadium, yeah.
It's not there anymore.
And it used to be like Mike Tirico on the call.
Yeah, they would have like big announcers, and then I realized
back then Mike Tirico was kind of a nobody.
Yeah, but that's if I'm talent and I'm picking bowl games, not a bad one.
I remember the year Notre Dame played in the Hawaii Bowl.
Was that like that was before
2008, 2009 or something?
Was that like Charlie Weiss?
That was Charlie Weiss. Golden Tate was on that team. Jimmy Clausen. So
remember when people thought Jimmy Clausen would be like the next big quarterback?
I saw him start a game for the team that we do not name. Yeah, crazy. You saw him start a game, right?
No,
I thought you went to a game that year.
No, not in 2010.
Oh,
I saw Cam Newton's first home start though.
Oh right, yeah, maybe that's what I knew it was around that time that you were.
Yeah, Cam's rookie year was 2011, and Green Bay, coming off the Super Bowl, played Carolina week 2.
Right.
And Cam, I think they started the game.
You run into our old friend Billy there?
No, I did not.
He was at the game though, right?
I don't know.
I think he was.
Hey, did you go to this game 13 years ago?
Do you think Billy listens or watches?
He may.
I should.
Stash.
Yeah.
No one knows what we're talking
Get
about.
the crew back together. But
Yeah,
anyways,
But anyway, so Ravens, Texans. Let's get back on track.
Baltimore is hot.
If Josh Allen, I think if he had not locked up the MVP already, Lamar Jackson's earned it. It's kind of funny that last year, I actually think Josh Allen was more deserving of the MVP and Lamar Jackson won it. And I think this year it's going to.
Yeah.
I actually think Lamar Jackson's been the better player this year, but that's not going to matter because Josh Allen will win it. Like I think he's pretty much locked it up.
It's kind of funny how that works, but it's fair, I guess.
Yeah, they both end up with the MVP.
I wonder who our buddy, friend of the show, Aaron Schatz, will vote for this year. Could you imagine if he's the only one who votes for
Lamar Jackson? What I think people don't understand, like the argument against and this goes back to playing a lot of fantasy leagues. The argument for investing, because I hate using this word because it's so stupid. It's such a dorky term to use for fantasy football, but I have a lot of exposure to Lamar Jackson in dynasty leagues.
Yeah.
And I have a couple friends who are like, oh, I'd rather go with a safer route, like a pocket passer, because long term, that's going to work out better for you. And I go, Lamar Jackson's a good passer. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This year kind of proved it, by the way.
Are you still telling everybody that you're reading his draft profile? Is that what you're telling us?
He's not a receiver.
Right.
I can't believe it. And that to me is one of the most jarring. And now I didn't think Lamar Jackson would be this good as a quarterback, but I didn't we saw him play at Louisville. He could clearly pass.
Yeah.
There wasn't he wasn't, I'm trying to think of a guy that they tried to comp him to. We've seen mobile quarterbacks even work before, but I don't want to go into that conversation.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's had one of the best passing seasons ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's about to pass. I know he's passed Aaron Rodgers, passer rating, single season record, but I'm trying to remember where it ranks all time. But he's in the 120s. He's been ridiculously efficient and good in the pass game. He's not turning the ball over he had one last week, but he's really been careful with the football, but he's making explosive plays. And then of course he brings value on the ground. This is one of the best quarterback seasons we've ever seen, actually, but it's kind of been overshadowed in the fact that there's a decent chance they don't even win the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
So going to this game, I've been saying it all year. I feel like the Texans are just an overrated team that's benefited from playing in a poor division. I think the Texans are going to smash them the Ravens are going to smash them in the mouth. I think the Ravens win 34-20 in Houston.
Yeah, this is the best offense. I just got my volume up, by the way. Finally, I went into the advanced settings on my computer.
There you go.
Now it's probably going to echo through yours. But anyways,
no, I'm fine.
We have the number one offensive DVOA team against the number one defensive DVOA team. So that'll be fun to watch. But you really can't believe in what Houston's got going on offensively right now, especially after losing Tank Dell.
Yeah.
That's it. But they did get Deontay Johnson off waivers. So maybe his fourth team in less than a year.
Revenge game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true.
He was on the Ravens. Doesn't anyone remember? He did catch a pass for the Ravens.
He did.
One pass. But I'm with you. I think the Texans offensively, all season, even with guys healthy, it just hasn't been there.
Yeah, we were saying in week 2 after they played that one team, that that defense is playing well, but when that offense gets going, here we are. It's week 17, and we're still saying when that offense gets going, and if it hasn't gotten going yet, it's not going to get going. I don't know. They're obviously this is a stage now where they're going to have to reconvene in the offseason and figure out what the heck went wrong this year. Obviously, they're still going to the playoffs. They won their division because they play in something easier than the SEC. But Do we have any?
Oh, you're
Hey, what's this guy talking?
no. Oh, I talked to a guy today, and he was just like, he goes, "Oh yeah, we got robbed." He's an Alabama fan. He's like, "We got robbed," and I go like, "You lost to Oklahoma, dude. Shut up."
Yeah,
Like,
Vanderbilt.
yeah, like, and he goes, "We were on an equal playing field." And I'm like, "Michigan beat Ohio State. Do they deserve to go in the playoff?" He's like,
Exactly.
no.
Somebody said on Twitter the other night that maybe Michigan would have won the SEC. They might have won 10 games
If Michigan had a quarterback.
If Michigan had a quarterback, yeah. Next year.
Get ready, boys.
But yeah, no, I'm thinking Baltimore wins this fairly convincingly myself. I'm gonna say 28-14 Ravens. Seahawks 27-17.
Seahawks 30-20. Wow. Chargers, Patriots. Drake May is a fun watch.
Yeah,
He
that
was
poor guy,
terrible.
man. I mean,
He was terrible.
oh my God, he has nothing. He has nothing to work with. He's playing
Even
behind
I feel like
literal Swiss cheese offensive line.
I feel like the receivers they even have that were young, like, have not done anything.
Well, like Austin Hooper had a catch the other day, and I even forgot Austin Hooper was still in the NFL.
You saw him like the Raiders last year, I think.
I think he was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the Chargers will win this one. I'll say they win 31-17, but yeah, Drake May. I know they like Gerard Mayo, and they did play hard against Buffalo. I'll give them that. So that bodes well for but they're so far away in terms of, but they have the quarterback. They have the quarterback, which is 80% of the battle. But they probably need 4 new offensive linemen at least. They need somebody to really help Drake May. They probably need somebody better than Ramondre Stevenson at running back. I mean,
yeah, they're a long way away.
You need about 7 new guys on offense. The Patriots do.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers here. They are, I think a team like Jim Harbaugh, or a team coached by Jim Harbaugh, doesn't lose this type of game.
What a great victory they had last Thursday night too.
It really was. I mean, like, they came from behind against, I think, a pretty good Broncos team.
And it was a dominant second half the way they played. It was the best
they
played all year.
We watched it unfold.
We did, yes. Yeah. Remember how excited I got for the free kick?
No, that changed the entire complexity of the season.
Yeah.
And pretty much put the Chargers in the field. So great season by them. I think they continue. They go to New England. I'm going to go 24-10 Chargers. This is a huge game.
Big game.
Yep. Because, if you look at the standings, Denver looks comfortable. But their problem is next week they get the Chiefs, who still might be playing for something.
Yep.
The Broncos have to be rooting for the Chiefs this weekend, I would imagine. Because they do not want Mahomes and their players to start. And even though I could still see Andy Reid playing his guys.
I'd say he'd play them a half, but
yeah. But I think ultimately Denver probably needs to just look at this game as a playoff game.
Yeah.
Because there is a scenario, I think Cincinnati, they get, and of course this game is on NFL Network, which is just like this big of a game.
Saturday?
This shouldn't be this is a Saturday game. But Cincinnati finishes up, at home against Denver, and then they're at the Steelers, who might have some stuff wrapped up as well.
They might have the division.
So there's a lot up in the air, but basically if Cincinnati beats Denver, they're only a game back with the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So they could basically win and get some help next week, and they're in the field.
And I think number 2.
And the entire AFC should be rooting for Denver in this game.
Yeah.
You don't want to see Burrow because we talked about this last week or the week before. Cincinnati is not going to win the Super Bowl. They're too weak on defense. They're soft. They give up big leads. They can't really sustain an entire game.
Mm-hmm.
What they can do, though, is get hot.
Yeah.
At the worst possible time for the team that they're playing.
And they might be hot right now.
Yeah, they might. I mean, I feel like offensively they've been hot all season.
Yes.
Burrow's been having an amazing year. If you look at
if they had an average defense, Burrow is probably in the MVP conversation.
Yeah. He is, let's look, he's got this season.
It's like 37 touchdowns.
39 and 8.
39 more.
39 touchdowns, 8 picks, 4,200 yards. So he's already got the 4,000-yard season. That used to be the standard, by the way, of like excellence is hitting 4,000. Now it's like you're not even in the conversation for top 10 guy unless you hit 4,000 in 15 games almost. So I think with how Burrow's playing, the entire AFC, including the Chiefs. I mean, the Bengals had the Chiefs on the ropes in week 2. So this is a game I think that everyone will be watching very closely because I think if I'm an AFC team, I'd much rather play Denver in a vacuum than I'd rather play Cincinnati, even though I think Denver's actually better. But in terms of like, I don't know, it's the Bengals feel a lot like last year's Packers team, kind of like where they get in at 9 and 8 and they're going to ruin a team that's a lot better than theirs.
Yeah.
And that's why this game is interesting. With that being said, I think Sean Payton's a much better coach. Denver's got a good defense. They're going to run the ball well, I think, in this game with Javonte Williams. I think they're going to finish what they start in this game versus last week where they didn't finish. Give me the Broncos 31-27 in a close game. Cincinnati season ends on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Broncos. I mean, I would, as we've been saying all year, the neutral fan in us wants to see Cincinnati keep moving on.
Yep.
And like, also we want some sort of little bit of chaos to the playoff race.
Yeah, I want this. I want Cincinnati to win this game.
Because there is none. But Cincinnati, I think I seen a stat there the other day. I don't think they've beaten. It's not a stat. It's a fact. They haven't beaten a starting quarterback all year. So yes, I think that's, if I went through their schedule, I could probably.
All right, I had it up for a second. Let's roll through it real quick. I had it up a second ago. I can pull it. Okay, so they're at Carolina, but that was Andy Dalton.
I'm pulling theirs up now too.
At the Giants, Daniel Jones. So they did beat Daniel Jones.
Yes.
So that counts as a starter.
Okay, yeah. So
at Cleveland was Deshaun Watson.
They got Cleveland with Jameis.
No, that was Deshaun Watson.
Maybe it was that was the game he tore his Achilles, I think.
But they have 2 wins basically. Like their last 3 wins is everybody has been talking
Cooper Rush, Mason Rudolph, Dorian Thompson.
But as much as everybody's talking about how hot they've been, like you have to look at who they played.
Yes.
They lost to the 3 weeks before were crazy. The close loss to the Ravens, close loss to the Chargers, close loss to the Steelers. But, at Dallas, at Tennessee versus the Browns, they should win all those.
Yes. Yeah.
This is the first game of the 3 where you're like, theoretically they should take this game. And I think they're favored. They're actually favored in this too.
Yeah. But this is a pretty even matchup when you think about it. But
they've been a trap all year.
I do think I kind of agree with you. I think Denver's game plan is going to be, even though Denver does have a good defense, although
Cincinnati will move it.
What they're going to want to do is just eat clock so that short passing game, run the ball, and keep Cincinnati's offense off the field. Now, the only problem with that is also Cincinnati can strike quickly. They've shown that.
Yep.
But I think that's the best. Like, you can't count on striking quickly in the NFL. It's just not something. It happens every once in a while, but it's not a reliable game plan. So I think Denver, and also as you're right, Sean Payton is the better coach. So I'm going to take Denver. I'm going to take them also by 4, but a little bit not as high scoring, 27-23.
Next game, Cardinals, Rams. Cardinals are eliminated after last week. tough loss for them at
They had
Carolina.
a great November, and it just
Is this the Rams clinching scenario?
they would need the team that is playing on Thursday night to beat Seattle.
Okay.
But
So
also, if the Rams do win, I think I saw something like they would have the strength of victory tiebreaker. So it would be like the Seahawks would need like a lot of things to go right on week 18. They would need like certain teams to lose just so like that they could get a tiebreaker. Like
I just pulled it up on ESPN. So
it basically is going to clinch the division for LA unless something catastrophic happens week 18.
Okay, so it wins tiebreaker over Seattle based on the strength of victory.
Yeah.
So let me see here. So who did the Rams beat? Who's the
but even when you start considering, then like you need to think about week 18. Like certain teams would have to lose so that they could get a couple points going there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like
it would probably have to be all the teams. Yes, all the teams that they beat.
Yeah,
that LA also didn't beat.
Oh my God, what a cluster!
Right?
I feel bad for whoever has to put that.
Exactly.
I'm going through like Seattle's schedule here.
Yeah, you would have to like compare one for one. Okay, did they beat them? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I love that type of stuff. But,
yes.
So Seattle's big win that Seattle's win that the Rams didn't get, the Dolphins. So let me put that.
They would need like the Dolphins to win out, which is weird. Like that would affect the NFC West.
Yeah, I'm doing that now, but that's not enough. Who else?
Yeah, they probably need the team that
the 49ers, but the Rams beat the 49ers.
Assuming they win on Thursday night,
the Cardinals.
They would need the team that they beat on Thursday night to beat Green Bay in Week 18 because the Rams didn't beat that team, because that would help their strength of victory.
Yeah, the Rams lost to the Cardinals, and the Seahawks.
So even like this week, their strength of victory is going to go down because they're going to beat a bad team, and the Rams are going to beat a good team, or a better team, I should say.
The Seahawks effectively need this game from the Cardinals.
Yes, yeah, it's way too much.
I'm looking at it; it's like it's almost impossible.
Yeah, too many variables.
Let's just pretend the Rams own the tiebreaker over the Seahawks.
Yeah. It would be kind of fun, though, to think about come week 18, who are the teams that need to win?
Yeah. And I mean, with last night, Green Bay clinching a playoff spot, that race for the 7 seed is getting really tight. Like if you're the Rams,
it's just about over.
It's because the Commanders basically have that locked up.
Yeah.
So maybe the Rams could get it. Like the Seahawks. They have no option outside of winning the West.
Yes.
And then the Rams technically have a way to get in with the 7 seed, but really their most realistic path is the 4.
Yeah.
Or maybe the 3, depending on the NFC South. And the NFC South winner or loser is basically done. Because I think both of those teams have 7 losses and the Commanders have 10 wins already. So, but anyway, to go into this game, I think the Rams, they've been super impressive to me because they're the type of team. I love teams that win in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So they beat Buffalo.
Versatility.
They beat Buffalo 3 weeks ago in a game that had nearly 100 combined points. In the last 2 weeks, they win basically slugfest games in poor conditions.
Yeah.
Last week it was freezing cold in New York. And then the week before that, it was pouring down rain in San Francisco. I love the way the Rams are playing. This is not a team I'd want to play in the playoffs right now. Give me the Rams in a close game, 27-21.
Yeah, I think Arizona, I can feel the bottom falling out for them right now.
Yeah.
After
they losing the horses.
Yeah. I think the Rams are going to win this fairly convincingly. I'm going to go Rams 34-16.
Jets Bills. Don't want to spend a ton of time on this. I think Buffalo wins this game 27-14. Josh Allen, probably another big game. The Jets defense has been pretty
He didn't
bad
play
this
well
year.
the other night, but
Yeah. But overall, I think that Josh Allen will have his way with this defense, and
yeah,
it's at home. So give me the Bills by double digits.
I'll go 30-13 Buffalo.
Ooh.
Oh, the poor Raiders, man. I mean,
they won last week.
But did you see where they are in the draft position now?
They're like 5th now.
They're 5th. They went from 1 to 5, and there's no way they can get back to 1. They would need everybody in front of them to win out, basically.
You know, we were talking about this though. This is probably the worst I've ever seen the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
Like there are 10 teams with 10 or more losses already. And there's a chance that San Francisco probably gets there. Miami could even get there.
You're going to have teams picking 11 and 12 that were like 7 and 10.
We're probably going to get like 12 or 13 teams with
a third of the league with double-digit losses.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a byproduct. You have a 14-win team, 2 13-2 teams.
Yeah.
2 12-3s. Green Bay's 11-4, and then 3 10-5s, and a bunch of 9-6.
I bet you they'll be asking Roger Goodell at the Super Bowl this year, like, what do you think about the parity in the league this year? Like, do you think there's issues? Do you think there's things that need to be done? I bet you that'll be a talking point at the Super Bowl.
I mean,
there's nothing you can do. It's just,
I'll say this.
Next year, there might be 25 teams still alive at this point. You know, I mean, obviously, probably not. But
I'll say this, like, so really, if there's a correlation to me, if you look at inside the top 10, Giants, poorly run front office. New England has been a poorly run front office for a few years, and they're going through a transition. They don't have a lot of talent. Jacksonville, poorly run front office. Tennessee, poorly run front office. Cleveland, disaster front office with what Deshaun Watson. I'm talking more front office moves.
Yeah.
Vegas. I mean, I just said it. Like, just poorly run team. Carolina, poorly run team. Jets, poorly run team. Chicago, I think from the top, poorly run. The Saints, I mean, don't even get us started. And going into this game, the Saints proved, like, I think Nagler tweeted this, and it's a great point, where look what going all in got you.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of people are like, you know, the Saints didn't have their best players. It's like, yeah, that's like 3 guys that are like NFL quality. The rest of their roster is a complete disaster because they went all in and they have no money left. They spent draft picks trading up for players. Like, their entire process under the last like 3 or 4 or 5 years at the end of the Drew Brees era has just been catastrophic to their chances. This I don't see a lot of hope for the Saints team.
No.
Like, what sucks for them is they're not even in a position to get like a game-changing player in the draft. They have to trade up for him.
They're not going to get the money to sign one.
They're not going to get a quarterback. And the whole idea of like signing a quarterback, have we not learned our lesson with Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Which we're missing out on a revenge game. It's too bad.
You're right. That's
actually the most appropriate ending for the Derek Carr revenge saga, is that it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
But the Saints, like, both of these teams are like in one of the most hopeless positions, because I'll go over the top 10 again. The Giants, at least they're number 1. They're going to get a quarterback problem, like maybe Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or whatever. New England has their quarterback. Jacksonville, on paper, has their quarterback with Trevor. Tennessee, not in a great spot. We'll see what happens there. Cleveland, they're disaster. Vegas, disaster. Carolina, they're in a good place. I think, are getting to a better place, because I think Bryce Young can at least like play quarterback in the NFL. The Jets, disaster, but Rodgers probably coming back. Maybe they can have a weird season next year. I don't know. Chicago, they got everything going for them on paper. They just haven't translated it to wins. And then the Saints, disaster. Like, the only teams I would rank ahead of where this, like, in terms of disaster mode, are really like Cleveland and maybe the Raiders. Like, this team is just horribly run. And this game has draft pick implications because if the Saints win this, I'd have to look, but if the Saints win and the 49ers lose this week, I think the 49ers would even jump into the top 10.
Yeah, they might.
And the Saints would fall out. And I think the Saints could win this game. The Raiders are a really, really bad team, and it's in New Orleans. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but give me the Saints 16-14.
That seems like a good score for me.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason we watch this game is to see how Brock Bowers does in fantasy if you got him.
Yeah.
If you're starting anybody in the Saints in fantasy, you're probably not playing this weekend. Colts, Giants. Not going to spend a ton of time on this. Give me the Colts by 10, 24-14.
I'll take the Colts 20-17 to win this one.
Cowboys, Eagles. Is Jalen Hurts playing? Do we know that yet? It's so early in the week.
It is, yeah. I don't know.
I'm going to assume he does because usually
he does. Although he did have a concussion, so sometimes they hold those guys out.
A lot of Eagles fans don't think he had a concussion.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't think he had one.
No. I think he'll play this week. That's just my guess. But if he plays Eagles by 10, 27-17. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play, give me Eagles 20-16.
I'll play it close for just the either or, and I'll say Philly 24-21.
Panthers, Bucks. Panthers should have beat Tampa a few weeks ago.
Yeah, they really should have.
Chuba Hubbard just fumbled, and he kind of redeemed himself last week with the overtime win. Tampa, like, what a disappointing performance last week. Like, you had the NFC South basically right in front of you, and couldn't beat a Cooper Rush-led Cowboys team. Great win for McCarthy. Probably saved his job, by the way. I'm going to take Tampa here, but I'm not. My confidence meter is not high. 24-20 Bucks.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Tampa, but I'm also not confident. I think Carolina is going to cover. I don't know what the spread is, but
yeah,
I'm going to take Tampa 28-27.
The spread, let me look it up real fast because we moved through the last few games fast enough. I know you told me to hurry up, so
I just hear commotion going on upstairs. So
I do you?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to keep it in an hour.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The Bucks Panthers game is Bucks minus 7.5. That's a big number.
Geez. Yeah.
I mean, I guess they play well at home.
Yeah. Carolina would
that's still a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm still gonna roll with Tampa by 1 there, I think.
Yeah. And I go Tampa by 4.
Again, these are two teams that seem like they play each other 8 times a year.
Jacksonville's, yeah, I think whoever loses this game is going to be the 3rd pick in the draft, I think.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee needs this loss more than Jacksonville does. So, and the way this always works is the team that needs to draft position will win the game. So give me the Titans. Rand Carthon will be fuming from his press box.
Yeah.
While the Titans celebrate a big win over Jacksonville. 10-7. We need one more Will Levis meme, by the way. I don't know if he's going to play.
I'm going to go Tennessee 23-16. I think they're also I mean, they had a nice comeback last week. So they nearly came back to win. But
the only thing we're missing from this NFL season is like a game like this ending like 6-3 and or like going to overtime 0-0. And you remember Frank Beamer going like that, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Out of this game. I feel bad for whoever like is going to subject
has to sit through this.
This is close. This is probably worse, by the way. I don't know if it's worse than 2014 Thursday Night Football.
It's very close. It's very close.
These teams
it's hard to get worse than that.
These teams are a combined 6-24.
Oh, They've lost 80% of their games to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I think we're both taking. You said the Titans too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Who cares? Miami, Cleveland.
Miami had a nice little win last week.
Yeah, the late window. There's only 2 games in the late window, and this is a 4:05 kick, and the other is 4. So there's not many late games on Sunday. I'm gonna take. I'm nervous. Miami should win this game fairly easily. I think Cleveland is really bad. They don't have a lot of players left. They're starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah.
It's not going great with DTR. Who would have thought? With that, what happens first? Does DTR win a game, or do the Dolphins win in the cold?
Well, it's not supposed to be that cold up here in the Midwest this weekend.
Let's look at the forecast.
Cleveland.
If it's below freezing, give me the Browns.
It's 52 and rainy.
Oh wow, they dodged a bullet.
Yeah, it's like I was. That's the weather it's going to be here in Chicago on Saturday.
That was the temperature when I went to the Dolphins game on Christmas Day in Miami.
Yeah.
So they dodged
Miami 30-14 to win this one.
Oh yeah, I think the Dolphins go crazy, and they're probably going to be watching that Denver Cincinnati game too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the playoff machine in front of me.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up.
That would be a big circus.
Let's see if the Dolphins beat the Browns, and then the Bengals beat the Broncos, and then next week, let's say the Steelers beat the Bengals, and the Chiefs beat the Broncos, and the Dolphins beat the Jets. That puts Miami in. So I mean, that's a pretty realistic scenario, I think.
Yeah.
They got to win this game, but I agree with you. 31-17 for me. Give me Miami.
Boy,
huge game for the Vikings, not really for the Packers. I think though that there's some animosity. I don't think that Green Bay is going to lay down in this game. Although I don't necessarily want to help Detroit either. I think Green Bay just cares about getting Green Bay's perfect scenarios, finding a way for Atlanta to win the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
And then be the 5 seeds and go and play a rookie quarterback on Wild Card Weekend. I'm going to take the Vikings here, though. I think they've been so good this year, and Kevin O'Connell's had that team playing so well at home. I mean, their only home loss this year was a really close game against a healthy Detroit team early in the year. 34-30. Very explosive game, I think.
I'm going to take Minnesota by a point, 24-23. But I think there's going to be, like, say at the end, like a 2-point conversion that Green Bay goes for and they don't get it. And I think we're talking about, like, oh boy, Green Bay is the 3rd best team in the league according to DVOA right now.
I think Green Bay to me is the 2nd best team in the NFC right now.
Yes, I think so too.
I actually think that right now, I think it's between them and Minnesota for number 2, Philly's number 1.
Yeah.
I think Detroit's like 4th or 5th now.
Yeah, well, with their defense being as bad as they are. I mean, they can't stop a nosebleed.
Detroit needs Green Bay to win this game, probably more than the Packers do.
Yes. But I think people are going to start saying, like, oh my God, look at Green Bay. Look how close they ran Minnesota. And I think Minnesota will pull it out because Minnesota, as you said, needs it more. But Green Bay is going to look impressive, I think, coming out of this one.
Yeah, what did you say the score?
24-23 Vikings.
Oh, close. Yeah, and I like the scenario you played out. 2-minute, a 2-point conversion. And that'd be great. Like, that would be great. There's no reason to go to overtime. Just try to win the game. Like,
yeah, why not? I could see LaFleur doing it.
Yeah, and if you make it, great.
Yeah,
and then you're the 5 seed. So
right.
Falcons, Commanders, Sunday Night Football. This is a good matchup. Penix, I think, looked pretty good. Penix, I thought, looked pretty good. I just got your text. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he looked pretty good last week. The only interception was Kyle Pitts. somehow handing the interception over to the defense. I don't know what to make of the Falcons because last week was just an easy game for a rookie quarterback at home. This is a tough game and a tough environment, but you're also playing a rookie quarterback. I think I'm going to take Atlanta to win this in an upset. I think the Commanders coming off an emotional win. I think they're gonna slip here. Give me the Falcons 21-17. They win in a close game.
I'm going to take the Commanders to win this one. I think Penix did look all right, but I also think that what a soft landing spot that he had to go up against the Giants.
Yep.
And I think going up against Dan Quinn will be a little bit different.
Revenge game.
Yes. Oh man, you're right. You're always on top of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Washington 24-14 to win this one.
Okay.
I think they're just a decent bit better team than Washington or than Atlanta is right now, and I think the quarterback, a rookie quarterback in his second start, his first road start, I think that'll show. And Washington will clinch the playoff berth in front of their home crowd.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they're effectively in, though.
Yeah, they're in, basically.
Yeah.
They might actually even have it clinched by the time the game starts on Sunday.
Yeah, if Tampa loses, I think, then yeah, they're in.
Yeah.
Detroit, San Francisco.
Should have been a NFC Championship rematch or a preview or rematch of last one to maybe preview this one.
You think? Yeah, Joe Buck's probably like, "Hey, give me a good game, can you?" It's like, well, that's what happens when you go to Monday.
Yeah, there hasn't been many good Monday night games this year, has there? Not that I can think of, or at least in the last 2 months.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think you're right.
Thursday night has had a lot better, which is unusual.
Thursday night has, I think, been the best of all of them, which is weird.
By far.
Yeah. So the league's sucking up to Amazon.
Yeah, but the script writers are all helping out Bezos.
And this $600 million wedding. By the way, like speaking of the $600 million wedding, I didn't even know you could spend $600 million in like a weekend. Wait, what do you even buy? You buy the town?
Yeah.
Like he just owns the town forever.
Yeah,
Like,
every
what?
single part of the town.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how you can spend $600 million on a wedding.
Yeah,
that's incredible. I want to know what this wedding has. They're like cloning people. Like, but anyway, in this game, I'll keep it short and then you can finish up. I think Detroit's gonna run the ball all over San Francisco. San Francisco's defense looked so soft last week. Purdy's not looking great either. I think Purdy and the 49ers will have success offensively, but Detroit will score enough points. I do think that this game, though, if Detroit doesn't figure out something on defense, we'll be talking about this at the end of Monday night going, this team's flawed.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they're about to win 14 games, it looks like. We're gonna be saying how 14
win team about
that. I wouldn't say that because like at
the
beginning of the season they were so dominant. We were talking about them being the best team in the NFL, and I haven't felt that way in a month.
Yeah,
I don't think they're that. I think their defense is just so poor.
Yeah,
and it's because of injury. But give me the Lions 37-27.
I'm going to take Detroit 31-24. I think there's going to be some things that are going to be working against Detroit come January. I think right now when they get teams that are not playing in the playoff or not playoff-esque teams, it helps a little bit more, but there's definitely some things they need to adjust there. Well, it's not even adjust. They just have to hope they can outscore everybody, I guess, from here on out.